Hi, this is Sherry Gallagher with Technicon Company Incorporated, and in this video we're going to cover sections 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and 8.4 of ISO 13485-2016. These sections address measurement and analysis of the QMS. We covered section 8.2.1 feedback, 8.2.2 complaint handling, and 8.2.3 reporting to regulatory authority in section 7.2 customer related processes, and we won't be repeating them here. At this point, we're moving back into the areas that are the responsibility of management in the analysis of data to evaluate the effectiveness of the QMS. If you want to think of the Deming PDCA cycle, this is the check and if not required act part of the cycle. At this point, management decides how they want to measure the QMS so they can analyze the data and create improvement. How does management know how the product conforms to requirements? The QMS is being implemented as planned and not a binder that's dusted off a few weeks before the audit and documentation is tweaked to pass before going back to business as usual. This is where the work is done and data is analyzed for the management review. One of the most powerful tools at management's disposal to evaluate the QMS is the internal audit. When I do third-party audits, I tell the auditee that effective internal audits should prevent a third-party auditor from having findings. Internal audits must be process-based, not procedure-based. This isn't a new concept. I like to have my consulting clients use a turtle diagram that looks at the process inputs, documentation, personnel, equipment, the process, and the output, and the measurement of performance. Multiple procedures and work instructions end up being audited in a single internal audit in how they are used. It finds issues with training and equipment capabilities. It is a powerful tool, and I would recommend you investigate. An issue I frequently see in small to medium companies is that they use outside resources for internal audits, and the audit is done once per year to contain cost. Technically, this prevents taking into account the status, importance, and results of previous audits. The outside resource does conform to auditing at planned intervals and still defines the criteria and scope of the audit and can be effectively implemented. One of my concerns is not seeing variation caused by changes in product mix. I audited a company with excellent traceability for 2 years, including a full assessment. On the third year, due to a variation in product mix, I stumbled over a product that lost traceability when shipped. As with ISO 9001, the auditor shall be impartial and not audit their own work. And while the standard doesn't call out that the auditor be competent, if the auditor is not trained or knowledgeable about the current standard, they are not competent and they fail against section 6.2 resources and human resources. Records of audits must be maintained, and management of the process being audited is required to take corrective action without delay, and the effectiveness of the actions must be verified. Processes are monitored and measured to determine the ability of the process to achieve planned results. Now you can do CPK studies, or you could look at the data collected in production of the number of products produced versus the number of saleable products. The processes need to be evaluated and determined if improvement is needed. When it comes to monitoring and measuring product, the intent is to verify the acceptance criteria is maintained. A very big difference between ISO 9001 and ISO 1345 is in ISO 1345, the person authorizing release must be identified. In the pharmaceutical industry, if the person releasing knows the product did not conform or follow the defined process and the resulting product causes a death, then the authorizing person can be prosecuted for criminally negligent homicide. ISO 13485 also requires product not to be released until it is determined to conform to requirements. Now, implantables adds one more requirement, that the person doing the testing and inspection be identified on the order as well. This leads us to the control of nonconforming product. It must be identified and controlled to prevent its use. The cause must be investigated and action taken to correct the cause. This may include notifying a supplier for them to do their own investigation. There must be a procedure defining the control's responsibility and authority for identification, documentation, segregation, evaluation, and disposal. And of course, records must be kept. If the nonconformance is discovered before delivery, the material must be controlled and action taken to eliminate the cause. If the product is released under concession, the justification for the concession must be documented and the authorizing person identified and a review performed that regulatory requirements are still met. If found after delivery, action should be taken appropriate to the effect or potential effects of the nonconformity. If an advisory notice is required, there should be a procedure to follow and it must be implemented immediately, no matter the time of day or if there is a holiday. If product is reworked, the resulting product must be tested to the original specification and the rework evaluated that it meets the regulatory requirements. The potential adverse effect of the rework must be considered and records must be maintained. The last subsection we will consider in this video is 8.4, Analysis of Data. There must be documented procedures to determine if the QMS is suitable, adequate, and effective. The analysis should include the results from feedback, conformity of product, trends in process and product, supplier performance, audit results, and if appropriate, service reports. If it is determined the QMS is not suitable, the analysis must be used to identify actions for improvement. So this is why the reason a line is typically added to the management review minutes, that the QMS was found to be suitable, effective, and adequate. And finally, records of this analysis must be maintained. Usually they are in the agenda and the minutes of the management review. There you have it. The last part of Section 8 of ISO 1345-2016 will be covered in a separate video on improvement. If this video has been helpful, please like and share and subscribe to this channel. If you'd like more information, please go to our website, www.technicon.com, or if you need help, please email us at technicon1986@sbcglobal.net or call 708-814-3685. Please go out and have a wonderful day.